Hello, hello, hello. Other video request. Gypsy Hustled. Give me another one. He says, video request. Why do you believe that almost half of Americans do not believe in Darwin's theories of natural selection and human evolution? Also, do you believe it is more complex to explain the creation of the universe with or without a God? For example, there is an argument that the universe can't come from nothing. Something from nothing. I'm sorry, yeah. Lawrence Krauss and other scientists are using quantum mechanics to suggest that even nothing is actually something. Plus, if there was a God, then what created that God in the first place? Thanks. Okay, well, why do I believe that almost half of Americans don't believe in the theory of evolution? Well, it's because of this. If you go to my website, this is double size because since I made this, like Google or whoever changed the fonts, man, I need to make this thing thinner because it seems like every couple of weeks the fucking fonts get bigger and bigger and bigger. So anyways, if you go to education, go down to religious statistics. I've got a whole bunch of different religious statistics gathered here. It's pretty chill. If you go down here to Bible should be taken literally, there was a poll by ABC News Primetime in 2004. 60% of Americans thought that the Noah story is literal. 61 thought the world was made in 6 days. Now, should the Bible be taken literally? 42% I guess 42% of people who call themselves fundamentalists believe it should be taken literally. So I guess if I said that, then I guess I was wrong. 42% of fundamentalists actually. 42% were, I guess, we call of Americans. I'm sorry, these are Americans in general. We call themselves fundamentalists and think that it should be taken literally. 37% call themselves relativists, and then 14%, or I'd say it's just a book. So yeah, 42% of Americans are fundamentalists and say it should be taken literally. That's almost half. And if you look at the other statistics on here, it will back that up. There's all kinds of statistics, and people in America are extremely... I've done a video analyzing all of these religious statistics. People in America are extremely Christian. And I mean Christian as in like crazy Christian. Like, for example, and also crazy atheists. For example, 35% of people don't even think there's a life after death in America. This is according to religionstolerance.org. I forgot to put the date, but this is all around, the 90s and 2000 and stuff. So, in like 90... In 1990, only 35% of people believed in reincarnation. In 91, and according to another poll, 20%. In 98, a Gallup poll said 20% believed in reincarnation. I mean, yeah, dude. People are confused as shit in this world. The general rule of thumb is about 90% of the people believe in God, and 10% don't. And that's in America and the world. America is pretty representative of the world when it comes to that particular question. But you should check out my page. It's set up in a way that you can go to the top of the page, and you can look at all the questions and stuff and kind of guess what the answer may be, and then you click it and it actually jumps you to it. And so it can be used as like a test. I want to create a religious test out of it later on. But, of course, it would have to be date-oriented, what people believed at the end of the world, at the turn of the millennium. But you have, like, America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, that's why I believe that. Okay, now what's the next part of the question? Let me put my glasses on so I can see it. Do you believe it is more complex to explain the creation of the universe with or without a God? It's a lot more complex to explain the creation of the universe with a God, and to explain the universe with a God. Now I'm talking about smart people who believe in God. I'm not talking about crazy fundamentalist Christians who think that the world was created 6,000 years ago. I'm not talking about them. But you don't have to be one of them to believe in God. A lot of these people who are like, atheist, ooh, like Bill Maher, dude, he takes it way too far, dude. There is a, just kind of have a brain fart here. There are a bunch of people who believe in God who are smart. I mean, you don't have to be Christian to believe in God. Hindus believe in God, and they even call it God. They don't call it Shiva or Vishnu. They call it God. The book Autobiography of a Yoga by Paramahansa Yogananda, he called it God throughout the entire book. There are a lot of Muslims who believe in God, the right kind of God, and science. So, don't think that if you believe in God that you're a crazy fundamentalist Christian who thinks that, Jesus is going to land in 20 years and fucking kill all of the Buddhists and throw them in hell for eternity. It's not like that. And that you've got a bad attitude. Don't have a bad attitude. So, it's a lot more complex now as far as that kind of God, to believe in a world with a God, to believe in a world that's alive. Because now you've got an open mind and you're paying attention to all of the different scientific experiments that have shown the existence of God, that explain stuff and actually show stuff that people cannot explain. For example, the double slit experiment, where when you have the two splits, and you send the photons individually through the two splits, the photons go individually. But then if you don't watch them go individually, they automatically bump into each other, and it's as though you're shooting them all in at the same time. And only you're still shooting them in individually. The thing that shoots them out the same. The only difference is you're not watching them. But the camera that watches it isn't connected to the thing that shoots them out individually. Nobody can explain that. Some people try to say, "Oh, you can explain it." I had a really lengthy argument with somebody who was trying to say that you could explain it, and in the end, they just gave up. They were just repeating themselves, saying stupid shit, and you can't explain the double slit experiment. Ask any really educated physicist, and they'll tell you cannot explain the double slit experiment. You can't explain non-locality, where you take somebody's DNA and you stress out the DNA and make it coil up, and his DNA is going to do the same thing instantaneously on another part of the country. There's a book called The Field by Lynn McTaggart. I rented it once, but I never from the library. I should get it again. If it's in audio format, I'll definitely listen to it, but I lost it, and then I found it in my van later, but so I never actually read it, but I've heard interviews from her, and I've heard some stuff. She's just compiled all these different scientific experiments. There's lots of them. How about the spike in the field of in the minefield that the thing detected in 9/11? Can people explain that? Explain the mechanics of it? Well, we can't now, but it's actually real. And anyways, the more we learn about this stuff, and the more we learn that our brains are actually connected to this zeitgeist, then you'll realize that the zeitgeist is like the internet of the computer, and then that it holds memories of everybody who's ever lived on the earth, so that you can actually look into the past and see with your mind Jesus getting crucified, or you could find the hidden treasure just with your mind because you're hooking up with the internet. And when you understand that, then you'll understand that it's conscious, and that consciousness is something that everything has. I mean, these crazy fundamentalist Christians. They think that animals don't have souls. A fundamentalist Christian told me that, personally, a couple years ago, 4 years ago, that animals don't have souls. Animals, animal. The word animal comes from anima, which means soul. They have souls, they have feelings. Everybody knows that, except for some crazy fundamentalist Christians. Crazy Muslims think women don't have souls. They think they don't have consciousness. As we understand more and more, and the future goes past, and we understand, you become more developed, we'll understand that, oh yeah, well, it turns out plants are alive and they have souls. Well, then what's life? Well, the earth grows, the earth excretes, oil and eats, and the earth is alive. It has a soul. It has a consciousness. Oh, the sun has a consciousness. Our bodies we have consciousness, but then we have tiny little single cell organisms in us, like bacteria and, even red blood cells, which are single cell organisms. They have consciousnesses. So there's little things with consciousness inside of big things with consciousness. So if there's big things inside that have consciousness, then the really big thing has consciousness. So the galaxy would have its own consciousness. Consciousness is everywhere, and that's God. So, and as long as you're going to remain like an atheist and just not believe that and just say no, the only conversation I want to have about religion is about those crazy fundamentalists, because all the people who believe in religion and believe in God and the value of religion and God, they're the crazy fundamentalists, and there aren't any smart ones. It's like don't have such a bad attitude, man. Chill out. It's a lot more complex to open your mind, and and realize that like miracles happen. I had a crack across the front of my windshield of my van that went all the way across, almost all the way across. It was about 2 or 3 inches from the end. No, it's about 4 inches from the end. One day it just disappeared. It wasn't there. I had these big gate teeth. 2 days after my crack disappeared, my gate teeth came together. A big thing of gum was hanging off my teeth. I mean, can you explain that? How about the aliens? I mean, we don't have it all figured out, man. And so you just have to have an open mind. If somebody says, "Oh yeah, I know somebody there's people here who live hundreds of years who don't eat," believe it. So yeah, you just have to. The more open-minded you are, the more complex you are, and the more you close your mind, and the less complex you are. And so, a lot more complex to explain the universe and the existence of God. If you're going to explain the universe with no existence of God, like what? Oh, I only do evidence. Well, the only tools you have to do the evidence are your telescopes and your microscopes. What about imagination? That's what got us to understand all this stuff in the first place, was imagination. So, and using your creative mind to connect all of the dots of seemingly unconnected things. So, and that's from an open mind. That's not from a closed mind that doesn't make the connection about anything. So yeah. Okay, for example, there is an argument that the universe can't come from nothing. Something from nothing, okay. Lawrence Krauss, I haven't seen any of his videos, and other scientists are using quantum mechanics to suggest that nothing is actually something. Well, yeah, quantum mechanics, that has to do with, black holes, where everything in the universe is created from energy fields, like if the nucleus of an atom was the size of your fist, then the electron would be orbiting around the outer edges of a football stadium, and everything in between is just dead space, where then energy, photons and neutrons and stuff can just pass through, and then and that's how like neutron stars are created, when all those nucleuses are just jammed up next to each other, and then those things can collapse again because nucleuses are made up of quarks, which flash in and out of existence, 22 zeros after one in a second, and then reappear in another configuration. And when those things collapse, they collapse into another more dense energy field, which, black holes, which even suck light in, suck photons in, and then are connected, to wormholes that then pop out somewhere else. So you could say a black hole takes up zero space, but that's something, so the Big Bang, and that didn't come from nothing, it just was a doorway from something else. So I think that's what they mean by something comes from nothing, and there's actually nothing. Yeah, it's one of the what is it? The first law of thermodynamics. It's the law of just transference of energy. Energy never goes away. It just gets transferred. Like kinetic energy. You let a basketball roll down a hill, and then it crashes into a bunch of bowling balls. That crash of bowling balls is the energy. Then they fall, and then shake, and then it just gets dissipated throughout the earth. It's just, it just gets transferred. So so same thing with, creation of the Big Bang and all that kind of stuff. It's just it just keeps going. Okay, plus if there was a God, then what created that God in the first place? That's a good question. I think as far as like where did the beginning come from and all that kind of stuff is just too much for us to imagine. It's kind of trying to ask a dog what he was in his past life, Ask a dog to design an airplane for you or something. It's not, it's just too much. We're not designed to understand that much. I think that it came from something God, as far as we're concerned, would be the consciousness of the whole universe that we can see. And that universe came from something. So I think originally it must have come from something, small that just it was some consciousness that then got bored and wanted to multiply had an idea, what if, and then created something else to share its experience with, and have something to keep it company, and then it multiplied again, and then it had an idea, let's make this, so then it built that, and then it just grew. Everything in the universe starts with an idea, starts with a dream, and then it's created. And all dreams do become reality. If you think of something, then it exists somewhere, because you're just picking up that idea from somewhere else, and that that's in your future. An idea or a dream is basically prophecy. It's basically looking into the future. So yeah. Now, why do I believe that almost half Americans do not believe in Darwin's theories of natural selection? It's because of those polls. But why do I believe that it's like that? I know you didn't ask me that, but I'll answer that question anyway. In case that it would have been the follow-up question. It's because people get stuck. People get stuck in their comfort zones, and if you're born and raised in a certain mindset with all the people around you are really close-minded, then and you're raised to believe that the world has always been like this, and the tradition, you have to have the Christmas tree brought in, and you have to sing the Christmas songs, and everybody here's white, and we just keep it the way it is because it's always been like that. It's just ignorance. They don't realize that the world changes. All this stuff is finite, and the world is in a constant state of flux, and people are because people are very because this world is very in history has been like limited resources. We've always had to fight for the resources and fight for survival. Anything that's different, anything that's not familiar is a threat. It's something that can take you out. So you just want to preserve what you have, and ignorant people preserve everything. They preserve their beliefs and all that. So we've had this tradition, this Christian tradition, for so long that people just want to hang on to it, and even when new evidence comes about. So anyways, cool request. Peace out.